November 26, 2025, Buddhadhamma, Chapter 6, Supreme Peace, 6.5, Jhāna, Nirodha, and Nibbāna. At this point, let us examine another way of distinguishing kinds of Nibbāna. Besides stating the attainment of concentrative absorption, Jhāna, it is good basis for realizing Nibbāna. Gautama Buddha sometimes used the term concentration absorption, Jhāna, to imply Nibbāna or to show related features. For example, Gautama Buddha referred to the four fine material jhanas, the four immaterial jhanas, and nirodha, cessation of sanya and vedana, perception and feeling. So it's sanya veta niyita nirodha as temporary Nibbāna. Alternately, Nibbāna is a substitution of opposites, visible Nibbāna. Buddhadhamma-nirodha is visible. And Nibbāna is to be seen by oneself, Sanditthika-nibbāna, respectively. Further examples of Nibbāna being used in connection with spiritual attainments include, for example, a bhikkhu secluded from sensual pleasure, secluded from akusala states, unwholesome states, attains the beginning of Jhāna, which is the first concentration absorption. Even this much, the Blessed One calls direct Nibbāna by representation. Going beyond the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception, attaining the cessation of perception and feeling by seeing with panya, wisdom, all crankers are destroyed. All your kilesas, asavas, your mental crankers, your defilements are destroyed. Even this much, the Blessed One calls direct, immediate Nibbāna. A practitioner of insight meditation, vipassana, understands rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, and vijnana as impermanent, subject to dukkha, subject to change. He abandons sorrow, lamentation, etc., is free from agitation and worry, and dwell in sukha, in happiness. He is said to be quenched in the respect. When a person is overwhelmed by lust, hatred, and delusion, then he plans for his own harm, for the harm of others, for the harm of both, and he experiences in his mind suffering and grief. But when lust, hatred, and delusion have been abandoned, he neither plans for his own harm, nor for the harm of others, nor for the harm of both, and he does not experience in his mind suffering and grief. In this way, Nibbāna is directly visible, timeless, inviting one to come and see for themselves, to be brought within and realized, to be personally experienced by the wise. Now, in the Matika of the Paṭisambhidāmagga divides nirodha, cessation of feeling and perception, which is the important synonym for Nibbāna, into 5 categories. The first one is Vikkhambhana-nirodha, the suppression of the 5 hindrances in the first jhana. So the suppressions of all sense impressions of the 5 skandhas. In fact, all 8 concentration of attainment, sammapatti, the 4 material the 4 fine material and the 4 immaterial jhanas count. Vikkhambhana-nirodha. Because while abiding in all of these states, unwholesome qualities, all the hindrances are temporarily stilled. And number 2, Tadaṅga-nirodha, the state at which concentration, samadhi, begins to dispel the defilements. Wrong views are vanished by a substitution of opposites qualities. The states implies the dispelling of defilements through insight and the use of wisdom to examine the true nature of things. For example, the nature of impermanence, anicca. Whatever truth is focused on, knowledge arises to eliminate antagonistic views and attachment. For example, seeing oneself or others as merely mind and body dispels the views of fixed identity. Observing impermanence dispels the perception of permanence. Acknowledging dukkha dispels the perception of unchanging happiness. And reflecting on selflessness dispels the perception of fixed self. This cessation, nirodha, is similar to turning a light and dispelling darkness. But it is still temporary cessation. As soon as the light is extinguished, darkness returns. The third kind is Samuccheda-nirodha, the cutting off of all defilements by ones who develops a supramundane or subconscious Lokutaraya-magga. The paths of Asota-Paṭimagga, Sopana, a once returner, a Sakagami, and a non-returner, Anagami, and then finally the Arhatship, Arahanta-magga. The defilements, the 10 fetters, cease never to return, like a tree that has been uprooted and shattered by lightning. The fourth one is Paṭipassaddhi-nirodha, the utter stilling of defilements at the moment of the superconscious or supermundane fruitation, Lokutaraya pala, the noble fruitation of a Sotapanna, the stream entry, and the Sakagami, the once returner, also the Anagami, the non-returner, and the Arihatship. This state is profound tranquility due to the complete removal of all mental impurities. The fifth one is Nissaraṇa-nirodha, the release of all the defilements, and abiding untouched by defilement. This cessation is equivalent to Nibbāna, also called Amanta Dhatu, the deathless element, the state of deliverance. Now, the two qualities, Vikkhambhana and Tadaṅga-nirodha, are conscious, they're mundane. The remaining 3 are subconscious, supramundane. The first 4 qualities are called Nibbāna indirectly, and in some respects, pariyaya. The 5th quality refers to Nibbāna directly, nipariyaya, in this full and true meaning. The Paṭisambhidāmagga divides pahana, abandoning, and viveka, seclusion, dispassion, release, into the 5 identical qualities, as with above nirodha, with identical definition and meanings. The commentaries divide vimutti, liberation, in the same way. A division into realization of Nibbāna is the division into the path and the fruit, into the 4 paths and 4 fruits. For example, Sotapattimagga, Sotapatipala, Sakadagami-magga, Sakadagami-pala, Anagami-magga, Anagami-pala, Arahanta-magga, and Arahanta-phala. This division, however, is made in connection with enlightened beings, who will be discussed in the next chapter. At this point, let me simply remind the reader that Magga and Phala are not Nibbāna, but rather states of levels of realization.